Hello, everyone. I'm Dominique.
And I'm Christina, and we are the Connected in Glass podcast.
Every week, we will feature interviews with glass artists who speak to their creative processes and overcoming challenges.
These conversations are real and raw. We hope that by sharing these stories, you're able to find some connection and know that you're not alone.
We just wanted to take a moment to thank you for listening to our podcast. We're super passionate about this project and work for hours every week to bring you this content. So if you'd like to help support us, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/connectedinglass. Also, please consider joining our Facebook group, Connected in Glass Community, where we continue the conversations from these episodes. We'd love to hear from you.
This episode of Connected in Glass is sponsored by Diddy Clips. Diddy Clips has changed the way we film our glassblowing videos, and we're proud to be working with them. Today, we're interviewing Jason Gordon. Jason is a glass artist based in upstate New York who has been working with glass since 1999.
Hello.
Hello, ladies. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always an honor to do a podcast.
All right. So we're so excited to get to know you. First, you want to maybe skip the glass part of your life for now. Tell us a little bit about where you live, what you enjoy besides glass, and then get us into the story of working with glass.
All right. So I live in upstate New York in the middle of nowhere. I grew up here my whole life. We live on a dirt road and we get a ridiculous amount of snow. So it's like a hard place to live in general. But yeah, I've lived up here, since 1986. My parents moved here and I was 6 years old. So overall, as a kid, I was a really good kid up until seventh grade hit. And then I decided that rules weren't for me anymore and became a little shit and rebelled against pretty much everything. I started early on, definitely not conforming to school whatsoever. So I dropped out of school in 11th grade and just was on a path of partying and doing construction for a living. That's all I pretty much knew was doing construction since I was 15. And by the time I was like 18 or 19, I was going to concerts and festivals all the time. And I met a kid in 1997 that actually introduced me to glass. A friend of mine owned a head shop and he had a guy come and blow glass for a night. And I was hooked pretty much right then. Like, you don't do a real job. You just blow glass for a living. That's amazing. Now I know it's a real job, but back then it didn't look like a real job to me at all.
So did you ask them to teach you, or how did you pursue getting your hands on it?
Well, so in 1997, my friend had a guy come named Jeremy Dennis from Ogdensburg and show us glass blowing in his garage. And he literally showed up with just a torch and his glasses and forgot all of his tools. So he had a bucket of vermiculite and like 10 of us hanging out, just drinking beer, partying in a garage. And the kid asked us to find some tools. And we looked around the shop and found just a metal hole punch. So it had like a square backside on it with a little rounded part and a tip that was pointed on the other side. And he was like, yep, that's all I need. And he continued to blow glass the whole entire night and made probably like $1,000 worth of glass just putting it in vermiculite and then taking it out an hour later and selling it to one of us standing there. And all of us were just amazed, but I was particularly amazed because, like I said, I had been doing construction for a few years at that point and it sucked. I did not like it. It was very hard work and I did not get paid. Back then I was getting paid like $5 an hour for doing construction, so it was definitely like, wow, that dude was making like $80 or $100 an hour just making pipes. That sounds so fucking cool.
At that point, how old were you?
I was 17 when I first saw glass. So like I said, my friend owned a head shop that he had just bought in basically, or like gotten handed to him through a bunch of random crazy things. He was buying it and he had the guy show up to blow glass because we were only seeing like these weird clear shit pipes. We never saw anything nice yet at that point. We were in the middle of nowhere. Like getting nice glass was, the Crush catalog wasn't even out yet, I don't think, you know. And so when we had him over, I right then was like, I want to blow glass. And my friend who owned the head shop had the money and he bought a full setup to blow glass for himself, but it was expensive and he didn't want anybody touching it. So I came over and watched him blow glass, him fuck up basically. And then Jeremy would come over and blow glass and never showed that guy any tricks because he was a glass blower. So he would like do dumb stuff in front of him and never show tricks. But I would stay late nights after my friend went to bed and watch. And he was like, I'm not a glass blower. So he would do anything in front of me. So for 2 years, I tried to come up with the money to buy a torch and all that stuff. And I just couldn't do it on the $5 an hour I was making. So I went every night and watched those guys blow glass after work until like 2 in the morning. And then I went home and woke up at 6. And every day I did that for years. And they didn't believe I was going to be a glass blower. And I just kept telling them, dude, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to buy a torch. I'm going to do this. And then one day, a friend of mine, unfortunately, got in a car accident, but he got an $80,000 settlement. And he was a very close friend of mine that didn't have money before that, knew my situation, and he just believed in me. And I told him if he gives me a $5,000 loan, I will buy all the stuff to blow glass and I'll pay him back within a year and he gets free glass the rest of his life. And he said that he's not going to give me $5,000. He'll give me 2,500. If I can't make it work with that, then I don't want it bad enough. And he gave me 2,500 bucks. So I ordered a GTT Phantom and it took 9 months to get here. So from the day I ordered it, it was 9 months before I actually got to like touch my own torch. During that period of time was when my friend started letting me work on a Carlisle. He knew I already had a torch ordered. So he was like, if you fuck mine up, I'll just take yours from you type shit, you know? But so that was in 99. I had watched for 2 years and I knew more about glass than my friend knew. Like I was telling him what the other dude was doing as tricks. And so as soon as I got my torch, I was way ahead in knowledge on what I should be able to do. Just couldn't, get these to do it yet.
So there's a couple of parts of that that's really interesting to me. First of all, I always tell students that you need to like have your brain understand what you're doing before you can get your hands to do it. And sometimes people are really quick to jump the gun. So it is kind of nice that you took all that time to get it. But then the other part that's interesting to me is the competition aspect of it and the not sharing thing, which I wonder if that comes back around now for you because you do tend to teach and show and share a lot, right?
Yeah, so in the beginning of glass, there were shops I would show up to and they wouldn't like, I would be friends with people and the other good glass blowers would literally like shut the door and not let you see what they were doing and stuff. It was very secretive back then to certain people. And the people that we knew in particular did not help us become better glass blowers in the beginning whatsoever. They told us to buy the wrong stuff. They had us buy an octagon kiln that had no front door on it. Like they purposely told us the wrong stuff, which was fucked up to me. I was a person that was just like, this is amazing. Why would you not want everyone to know what you can do? And I started taking classes early on. My first class was actually a Jason Lee class that I paid him, where I drove to Vermont and I went to his studio and took a class one-on-one with him. And it just blew my mind that the top of the industry, the best there was in the industry, was so open to teach me one-on-one for $300 for a day. And I was just like, it just blew me the fuck away. And the dude, within 2 hours, I was just sitting there like, what, just didn't know even what to say about what he was doing with glass. It just blew my mind. So after that, there was Buttermilk Studios in Ithaca that Steve Gelb ran, and he had classes left and right that were just top tier people. Emilio Santini, Ease, Marcel Braun, like just people that were top tier coming in from all over the country that were teaching people and not holding back while they were teaching. And that was in my third year of glass blowing is when I took all of those classes that I just said, and it changed my mentality completely. Like, I didn't keep secrets before that, but I just didn't know enough to share before that. But as soon as I took all those classes and I knew the information, and a few of them said like they didn't care if I taught my friends what I learned from them, I wanted everyone to learn everything that I could. Like, if I could teach you something how to be better, then it would make me better because I had to explain it to you, you know?
Do you feel like you found your voice in glass right away, or was it really frustrating?
Oh man, I still don't think I found my voice in glass. I'm just barely starting to figure it out. I was from the old school where as long as you were technically good, your stuff sold. So you could make whatever it was and people just knew it looked better than that person's, because it was like there wasn't many tricks and techniques out there yet.
And so let's say you come up with a design idea. What's your process? Can you like visualize it in your head, or do you have to like, write it out or draw it out, or do you just like get right in there and trial and error?
I don't draw anything. Once in a great while, if I'm collabing with somebody, I'll like sketch something that, as long as you're watching me and you're listening to me explain it, you'll understand what I'm drawing. But otherwise, you'll just have no clue what that picture is at the end of it. It'll just look like a bunch of scribbles. When I do make a piece that's like a bigger, crazier piece, I usually just start with one aspect of it, like, what do I want it to function like, or what do I want the colors to be? And then kind of just let my brain go with like, what could it become with the skills that I have. And now that I'm as good as I am, like, it gets harder because your imagination is the only thing limiting you. So you kind of just let yourself dream and go for a while, just like thinking about what you can do with either the colors or you can do with the whole theme of the piece. And then usually after you dream for a while, dial it back a little bit and start working on it. And throughout the process, I build the piece in my head over and over and over and over and over. You'll like, people will catch me all the time where I'll just be sitting there and my head will just be like eyes shifting around and like moving and legitimately like building the piece and then tearing it back apart and building the piece and tearing it apart in my head. Because if you try to do that on paper, not the best at, like, if you draw something and tell me you want it to be exactly that, I can do it. But for me, I know that if I just let myself go, it'll be a better piece.
So, where do you draw inspiration from for those larger pieces?
Well, for the most part, they're just drawn from everyday struggles or everyday triumphs of like learning new things, or like wanting to push myself past something that's happening in my own actual life, is a lot of times when I'm doing bigger pieces. And a lot of times I'll just be inspired to want to push myself in the medium. So I know a lot of people call them head pieces now, but originally all of us call them ahead pieces. So it was anytime you pushed yourself ahead, it was a piece that you were making that was pushing yourself ahead. So head ease is kind of just like this generic term for a nice piece now. But if you're an artist and you make an ahead piece, then the people know that you pushed yourself drastically on that to where you felt uncomfortable. And I think that just means something to the artist, you know?
That's pretty sweet. Okay, so you've been doing this for a really long time. Have there been times where you're like, I can't do this anymore? Or have you always felt like glass is my thing and I'm not giving up?
So unfortunately, I hit a very bad low a few years back where glass was, it was blowing up and the bubble popping at the same time. And I was just very depressed about what was going on in life and what was going on with my glass sales. And I quit glass for a year and a half. I didn't blow glass at all. I tried doing other things. The other things were, the creative things I did were fun, but not money making. So realistically, after like a year of it, I was the most depressed I've ever been. And a year and a half into it, I realized that that was the reason, was if I wasn't blowing glass and being a part of this community that we have built, I felt like I lost so much of what I worked for as a younger person. Like, why did I work that hard that many years ago, the 18, 20-hour days every day for years and years and years? And like, I'm kind of just like letting myself down to, I got to the point that I dreamed I would never, ever, ever be able to do. I never thought I would be this good at glass. Never. Like, I still every day, there's things that I do with glass that I don't even believe when my head's like, just do this. I'm like, fuck you. That doesn't work, dude. And then you do it and you're like, how the fuck, dude, that just doesn't make sense. But like, the hand skills have caught up. The knowledge in my head is there that it's like a library that I don't even need to think about anymore. It just accesses itself and it blows my mind constantly. So when I started again, I started small and was just making cups and stuff like that, just to like try to make money, and it still wasn't satisfying me. And I realized I need to just push myself. I need to do a headpieces. I need to see what this knowledge was all for.
So when you're feeling depressed, because we all feel that way, what do you find helps you like shake out of it?
Lately, I have my ex-wife to thank for this, is meditation. There are days when you wake up or when you go to bed that there's nothing you can do about the existential dread that you feel of the world. It can be from anywhere too. It can be the littlest thing that puts you in a weird mood as a human. So the sitting with yourself is something that I remember saying to her that it's not for everybody. And you're right, it's not for everybody if you can't face yourself. And facing yourself, really, like just sitting there and dealing with the thoughts that you're having and thinking them through, no matter what it is, like whether it's your glass career, your relationship status, your just life, just bills, whatever it is, if you can't sit there and like just really be grateful for what you have and not just constantly think about what's coming at you, because you're never, I don't care how rich you are, I don't care how much love you have, I don't care how great your life is, every single day of your life you're going to get parts that are going to put you where you just need to face them. And if you sit with yourself for 20 minutes, even 10 minutes, and be grateful for what you have and not think about what's coming at you, it changes your whole aspect. And the next big thing is music. Like, I can't tell you how many people have bad attitudes in life that they listen to music that has bad attitudes. That I get it. I love all kinds of music. I'm a big music fan, but I refuse to listen to music that is just making me feel shittier about who I am.
I think that's something that a lot of people don't necessarily realize too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and I will say, one of the things that I do very, very strategically now is I won't like even want to hang out with you or like converse with you very often if you are a person that's in a miserable mood. And usually I can feel that from the music that you're just listening to every day. Like, and the crazy thing is music changes. You can be listening to powerful, positive music that makes you extremely happy one day and the next day extremely sad about something. And that's the power of music. But if you're choosing to listen to music that's going to make you sad or angry or remember something you shouldn't be remembering every day, that's your choice. You're making a choice to remember. There is nothing that your past can do for you but teach you. So trying to like do anything but learn from it and move on is absolutely your own torture.
So true. You can feel it's like the empathetic part of you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the empathy for me, like I'm a person that no matter where I am in a room, even as like a rebel kid, I would still think about everyone around me. Like I have trouble, like it's sometimes a problem in the sense of where it's like, dude, but you're being awful fucking loud for these people over here. And people are like, dude, what are you talking about? Who cares? And it's like, I don't know, if I lived there, I'd be pissed, man. We're just being idiots. And dude, it takes real conscious thought. Like that's another thing about being happy and positive. A lot of people think that when you see somebody that's happy or positive, it's just them, that's just their life. And I can tell you firsthand that it's a daily thing. It's like peace. There is no destination. It's only the journey. Like you gotta constantly be reminding yourself why you're in a bad mood and why you're in a good mood and why you should be in a positive situation. Like reality is it's one in some crazy billion number that you're even existing on the planet. It kind of, if you're not taking this opportunity to live, then you shouldn't. It just seems crazy. You really need to take the opportunity to live every day and be thankful for the downsides, because you wouldn't even know what an upside is if you didn't have them.
So I kind of wanted to shift gears a little bit. I'm curious about the work that you do that takes so much time and effort and all those years of skill. First of all, do you have trouble putting it out there and maybe the judgments that others might put on it? And also, how do you deal with pricing things like that?
So I'm from the old school, so pricing is my hardest thing. By far, I underprice my work constantly, and I have trouble saying high numbers to people that I know I can't afford. And I nowadays, what I do is, the pricing is still impossible for me. I get advice from a lot of people is what I do for pricing usually, is I ask collectors and I ask good friends of mine that even if I know they're not going to buy the work, I ask them like, do you think this is reasonable? And how I decide to like make them is, it's kind of just when I decide to make a long piece, I either am comfortable with eating dirt for a little while, which happens often, where it's, as long as my cats and dog have food, I can go days without caring about money, type deal. So I'll do them during those times. I'll do them, honestly, just the big crazy pieces come when I just am inspired and I don't really care about anything else. That's what's going to keep me going for the next few days. It doesn't matter if I have money, it doesn't matter if I have people around or anything. If I have music, my torch, propane and oxygen and glass, then I know I can be happy.
So I was wondering what your definition of success is and if you feel like you've reached that success.
Ooh, uh definition of success would be different in every aspect of life. So definition of success for my career would be, it's not so much about the money for me in this, like it never has been, it never will be, but I think it's more about sustainability. Like I would like to be able to make the art that I want to make every day and make enough money off of it to be getting ahead to make better art constantly. That would be success for me, is like, as long as I could make art with collabing with people and having fun and not always making the craziest pieces in the world, but making some of the crazy pieces and being able to afford to do that again from those pieces, that would be success. So no, I have not reached success yet. In the rest of life, I think success simply for me is peace with who I am and what I have in the moment. And I've gotten a lot better at that recently. I've become more of a minimalist. I don't have the wants to have ridiculous things. I think it comes with age that I'm not looking to, like, I don't care about having a $70,000 truck. I don't care about having, like, I want a decent house and I want a really nice space to create. And I do believe I have that right now. So I do feel successful in life overall. There are parts of my life that are obviously not successful, but overall, I have a general piece of who I am as a person every day. And that has never, it hasn't been an option for me for a long time in my head.
Can we talk about the different mindsets that it takes to do the different things you do? Like going in for a big collaboration, or maybe doing some more of your like production work, or teaching, or doing demos?
hmm So the mindset for me, I kind of like to think I go into the mindset of every one of those the same exact way. Openness to learning. And that's especially true with when I'm teaching classes. I learn from every class I teach. Sometimes I learn from myself, even that, like, when I explain something, I'm like, oh, fuck, man, I'm going to remember that. um, but yeah, it's kind of just openness. And when I'm doing production, that's the only one that kind of stands out for me. Is I've made over 20,000 inside out spoons for one company. So when it comes to production, early on it was just money. It was how much can I make per day every day and keep up with it. And I got to a certain point that production became my number one learning tool now. So instead of thinking of production as I'm making money, every production piece I make, except for spoons, because I've made 20,000, some of them, every other production thing that I make is me trying to learn something for a bigger idea that I have. So if I want to learn how to make, say, for example, right now, I never did the swirly recyclers that everybody does, that does the spinny drains. I just never was into it. It wasn't my thing. I made other recyclers that were different. And but for the guns that I'm making right now, the one part on them just looks cool with that in there. And I really want to have them in there. So it was either collab with somebody every time and get them to make me a recycler to put in there, which seems kind of unrealistic, or learn how to make them myself. So I just started making clear ones for my local head shop to sell to them for like 50, $75 each. And I'm just trying all these different designs and patterns. And I'm not making good money on them, but I'm learning how to do something. So it doesn't really matter how much money I make off of it. It just matters that I'm learning, because that's priceless.
That's a pretty good way to go at it.
Yeah, like realizing that your production work, what you're benefiting, is just as valuable to you as the monetary gain.
It's more valuable. So learning costs roughly on a good day, from somebody that's as skilled as I am, per se. Say I wanted to go take a class from me, it costs you $300 a day usually to take a class with me. One-on-one, it's $300 a day. And that's been the same price in our industry for many, many, many years. Like, some people charge up to $1,000 a day for a one-day class. So if you can start realizing, it's like the same idea as this. Like, if you can start dating yourself, you'll be a happier person. If you can start teaching yourself and learning from yourself as a student, like, realize that I am no master, I know nothing, and I am a servant, I know something, is the most valuable thing you can do for you as a glass worker, or any skill that you want to do. Like, learning costs a lot of money, so learn from yourself.
Do you have any experiences with people mentoring you that you would like to share, other people that have helped you in a way?
Oh yeah, I mean, without a doubt. Early on in my career, I took a lesson with Jason Lee. I said he was the first person, and he gave me his personal phone number, and I could call him at any point and ask him any question in the beginning. And we're still very close friends. I love him dearly. He's been around my life forever. So Jason's always been one that I would consider my number one mentor. He has been the person, without a shadow of a doubt, is the one that got me to believe in myself, of pushing myself in the beginning of glass blowing. Since then, my mentors would be endless. This industry, everyone that asked me to do a demo, everyone that asked me to teach them, everyone that asked me, like, the people that asked me to do it, every one of them would be considered someone that that gave me confidence to realize that I was better than I thought every time. Even when somebody asked me nowadays, when they asked me to judge champs recently, I kind of looked at the list of the people that had judged before and was like, I don't know, man. Like, do I really deserve to sit on this list with these people? And fucking people were just left and right. You do. And I'm like, I don't know, man. So it just like those people change your mentality of like how hard you've worked in your garage by yourself and just posting it on the internet. I live in the middle of nowhere. So the fact that anyone knows who I am is simply because of this technology, So getting flown all across the country to teach classes and all that stuff I have endless mentors in this industry now. One of the ones that changed my life the most over the past decade was Abe from North Star, though, when he flew out here and Prism Glassworks had a lesson on doing furnace work on the East Coast from Abe himself. He flew out here, brought Craig Lewis with him, who is still someone I would consider a mentor too. And those two taught a bunch of us fools on the East Coast how to work with furnaces when we were clearly going to try to do it ourselves and dangerously. So he just flew out and did it and showed us the right way. And it changed my path completely. It made me realize going big in Boro, something I dreamed about my whole life, was more possible than was in my grasp. It was right there. So I went back with knowledge from Abe himself, and he's still, if I call him today right now, he will tell me anything I want to know about a color, anything I want to know about a furnace, anything like at all. He'll just tell me everything I want to know. So that's been, I don't do furnace work a lot anymore because my power situation at my house, but without Abe and Phil having that class there, my career would have been a very different career. I probably wouldn't be as well known as I am because the furnace work is what got most of the soft glass workers at least to know who I am.
Is there anything that we didn't cover or any closing notes that you wanted to end with?
I guess a closing note would be how much appreciation I have for people like you. I said the people that ask for classes and stuff, but I've been asked for podcasts on just glass many times, and I've done them, and they're always amazing to me because I feel valuable for it. But to be asked to do a one that's on glass and artists that are positive in general, I've been through a lot in my life that there were many times I would not have been considered as positive as I am right now. So it changes a lot for me to have you guys ask me to do this. It makes me feel that the changes I've made in my life are working and are valuable. So thank you guys so much for what you do.
Oh,
thank you.
So appreciated.
Yeah.
It is for me too.
Oh, this was really good. Thanks so much for all your time. We really, really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. It means the world to me. I hope you both have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Connected in Glass. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more information on the artists we interview and for updates on the podcast.